Well, welcome everybody. We are very excited to be delivering the Circular Economy Industry Research Innovation Program information session in regards to the next step in our program. Dr. Lydia Canovas is actually, which is looking, you've changed your name tag, Jason, but we're going to be running through the session, and Lydia from Smart Precinct is going to be driving today. My name is Cassandra Casalino, and I'm the CEO here at the Smart Precinct and part of the project team that is delivering this particular body of work. Firstly, we would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands in which we meet, in particular in our region, the Wulgurukba and Bindal people across the river. We really acknowledge all First Nations people carry a rich history of innovation and solving challenges and adapting to the ever-changing environment. They are the first innovators, so we really love to acknowledge them. We recognise and pay our respect to all First Nations people, elders, past, present and emerging. Go to the next slide. Thanks, Lydia. Bit of an overview of the session today. So we're going to talk a little bit about Smart Precinct and what we do and what our role is. We're going to introduce you to the project team, some of our progress and key learnings to date. So it's going to be a bit of a shared role. And then we're going to do an introduction to the Circular Economy Industry Research Innovation Program and grant. As Lydia mentioned earlier, this session is recorded, and it's for the purposes of being able to share it far and wide and get as many people engaged as we possibly can. So a little bit about Smart Precinct. So we are located in beautiful sunny Townsville. We have a smart hub in the Burdekin, and we support, and we are the home of innovation and entrepreneurship in the region. We support people to start and grow their businesses and support commercial pathways for innovation in the region. Our area that we work in predominantly is Townsville, Burdekin and Rock region. For the purpose of this project, we are working more around the North Queensland region. So excited to talk to people from across the area. We are proudly funded by Townsville City Council, and we have some incredible partners in the region. So we're really grateful for their support so we can be here today delivering projects like this one. What we do, so a little bit of mentoring. We support businesses one-to-one, people with ideas and looking for support across the region. We run a bunch of programs to upskill and to fast track and to introduce new technologies, or just to bring people together to ideate and solve challenges for industry. So that's some of what we do there. We support businesses to get investment ready and to support with their grants. We don't write grant applications, but we happily give feedback and help people get grant ready. And we also help community to really tap into an incredible network of innovators, entrepreneurs, and what we call the ecosystem. And you can see this diagram really represents how we're connected into community, not only across Townsville and Queensland and North Queensland region, but beyond. We work with a range of people. So I've already mentioned kind of startups, so supporting people to start up their ideas. We work with more traditional based businesses, whether they're growing, scaling, looking to tap into new markets. And we help people in lots of different ways, depending on what their personal needs are. We also work with government. So we are a delivery partner for government. So when we're trying to support them to bring programs into the region to offer resources and to engage with our local industry and business community. And of course, we're very excited to work with many researchers and universities and our investor pool as well. So we'll keep going. Thanks, Lydia. So what brings us here today? Obviously, Smart Precinct was very lucky to be selected to deliver the Circular Economy Industry Research Innovation Program, and it's thanks to the Queensland Government. The Queensland Government's Waste Management and Resource Recovery Strategy, which was in 2019, sets out the goal of Queensland being a zero waste society by 2050. And to achieve this goal, it provides a framework for Queensland to transition to circular economy, which means materials are retained in the economy for as long as possible and to the highest practical value. So this circular economy innovation program supports Queensland goals to be able to support industry-driven research and innovation for supporting that transition away from mainstream linear take, make, waste business models and to a less wasteful circular economy model. So as I said, Smart Precinct is proud to be a delivery partner. And that basically means, and Lydia, you can pop on to the next slide, it means that we bring together and facilitate collaborations across industry sectors and between government, research institutions looking to solve solutions for our local regions. We provide clearer picture. We will be providing a clearer picture for the region's circular economy connections, priorities, and some of the challenges we experience in regional Queensland, and feed these back into the governments that can support us moving forward. And then, of course, we are here to deliver an innovation grants, which will support initiatives developed through the Queensland Circular Economy Grant and program to accelerate ideas, technologies, and prototypes. And the hope is that these will be progressed to a pilot or commercialisation stage in the future. So introducing the project team, Dr. Lydia Canovas Ciaz, who is our Senior Growth Advisor and specialises in commercialisation and investment. We've got Jason Lang, who is our project engagement lead on the project and sustainability consultant. I'm not sure if you want us to call you that, Jason, but he's been integral to the success of this program so far. And of course, myself, who supports the team in the back end to ensure that we have the resources and the connections beyond our local shores. So we'll just keep going through that, Lydia. Just engagement activities and part of what we've achieved so far to date. We have posted a range of circular economy working groups. We've launched some of that engagement activity here locally and had some really great uptake and had some really excellent learnings from that. And Jason's going to take us a little bit more into that. We've facilitated and activated a youth challenge around circular economy. And more recently, we've launched the Dare to Think Circular, which Lydia will talk to a little bit more. And now we're at the point where we are really excited to have stimulated a lot of interest, and we're going to be delivering a grants program. And it's exciting for us because it means that we're actually providing local money, locals or government money, thanks to the Queensland government, delivered locally for solutions for the region and to solve some of our local problems. So yeah, I might pass over to Jason and he can continue on from there.
Yeah, thanks, Cass, and thanks for having me. Jason, I've been in Townsville, North Queensland a long time, on and off, lived and worked on sustainability in a couple other parts of the world, but I love it here. This, for me, is a reef city and the perfect place to innovate. And so we have this wonderful opportunity to continue to grow this industry that has really taken off in North Queensland as part of this program. So I kind of wanted to touch on what we found with the community workshop and what's, I guess, the feeling in amongst the city and the opportunity, because my personal experience and business experience is that we're on the, if we do this well, not just for the city, but for the country. So my interest is not in being a piece of the furniture here. I'm interested in how do we grow long-term partnerships as part of this Catalyst funding. And I think that's why I'm so excited that Smart Precinct's involved, because we've had a similar program called Reef Assist where we learned some really valuable lessons about the vulnerabilities of starting business in this kind of space. And Smart Precinct, for me, can offer some of the security and advice that's really needed for those businesses at this stage to really not only just succeed, but to grow if that's what they choose to do. So we might head on to the next slide, if that's all right, Lydia. So we organised this workshop, and it was a community workshop. Very important distinction. It was a process called community-based or collective social learning, I should say. We had about 60 businesses or 40 businesses. We had really big business like Sun Metals and Main Roads and local government. We had academia there, we had small business, and we really just gave them this focus question for them to think, as on the screen there, about how can Townsville as a community and business networks work together to really activate this whole of supply and demand chain solution, so that we can become a global leader in circular economy. And we've got some really remarkable insights as part of that community workshop. These were not our ideas. It was very important that we had a process that allowed industry and the community to share what circular economy means to them and their journey and their barriers and enablers here. And so really tangible projects emerged out of that first workshop, and more than anything, with this wonderful local calibration and local groundswell into this project. So I wanted to share some of the key themes that came out of that workshop. This workshop was very unique. It revealed things that doesn't appear when you do, like we're in the process of doing a national and international review around circular economy, and when you really drill down from national to state to regional to local, like in these workshops, we uncover these really powerful local themes. So I wanted to share those. This is what the city shared as part of the workshop around what we might need to get to the future where Townsville is a global leader. So the industry really shared that there needs to be city leadership, and that there is some city leadership there. And what that means is businesses working together with government and industry and community, and really driving regulatory leadership as well. So that's also why the link to research is really important for those of you listening. When you have good research and you develop and publish results, well, that's how you drive policy, and that's how you drive legislation. And what we found through this workshop is that regulation and legislation is one of the things that's kind of holding us back. So it's important that we get research into this process. And so that was a very clear theme. The city listening was theme number 2. These are not in ranked order. They're just they're in theme. So we're wanting, the community wants to be a listening community. They acknowledge that it's important to be working with each other in a partnership model rather than a competition model to get to the future. That came out very strongly in the workshop. And that we need to be resilient together, because the circular economy is a new space. It is actually challenging and in conflict with some existing models around mass production. So we need to work together on how do we adapt and do that. And one of the best ways is through listening, and our First Nations partners are particularly good at this. So theme number 3 was around innovation safety, and that's again part of what these grants are and partnership models are going to enable, is a safe place to innovate and to push yourselves, and to have some financial relaxation as part of doing that innovation. So we're hoping that the grants catalyse decisions on equipment or systems or services that might not have happened without that injection of cash. So we want to create, through these partnership models, this safety, or a safe place to innovate as a city. That came out very clearly from industry in the workshop. Theme number 4 was around supply and demand chain activation. So across all the different industries, we're hearing the same thing, that it's not enough just to make a circular economy product or service. We have to find systems and pathways for bigger businesses and community to purchase things. That is the demand activation. So when we have demand and we have sales and we have income, we can do more. And so that's an important distinction in the local workshop, activating supply and demand in circular economy. So part of these funding opportunities is also access to things like how council does business, what procurement efficiencies, how do we help with safety systems in order to be able to do these things well. And then theme number 5 was around holistic amplification. So that is again a very powerful theme to come out of Townsville, and it was about working across multiple industries, not focusing on one industry and having one solution. It's about developing these systems and solutions that can be across industries when possible, and that we really need to be working on how do we distribute wealth back into our community. So an example would be in Townsville, we have 80 to 90,000 tonnes of organic resources that go to landfill, which currently have no real value back into our community. In fact, it's a cost. Whereas if we do circular economy well and we make multiple products, well, that could be anywhere from 500,000 to $100 million of revenue that can actually be distributed in towns or communities and to local businesses and back into families. So we want to activate these these products and services that didn't exist, and that needs to be a holistic approach. So this is what the community has shared and what we wanted to, I guess, update everyone on as part of this session. So they're important things to keep in the memory jar. The session also really correctly or innovatively went through circular economy pathway. So like all the things that we need to do circular economy well. A lot of things that you read might only really focus on a thing, like how do I produce a coffee cup that is circular, or how do I do a truck that's circular. Or what we went through in the workshop was actually circular economy to this community means a lot more than that. So it's things like upstream avoiding. So at the start, in the top left there, it's how do we avoid the purchasing of waste products? So how do we disrupt purchasing models? And then as you move along the road to a looping city, we get to something called pre-processing innovation, which is very much that they shared around how do we do agile logistics? How do we move resources around a city really efficiently? How do we come up with new collection and distribution models so that things can be reused cost effectively? How do we map where they are? How do we join dots? So pre-processing innovation was really important and identified, and as important as processing innovation. So as you move along the road, processing innovation was very much around how do we access and innovate with what we have? So how do we use existing equipment? How do we use existing services and professional skills? How do we use resources like a landfill and look at it differently? How might we harvest a landfill? And how do we do both organic and inorganic processing to maximise value back in the community? And then moving along the road, the workshop identified the need for product co-development. So how do we work with industry partners and businesses and research institutions to actually develop new products and services together? Where it was identified that just making something because it could be cool is not really the way to get to the future. It's to work with partners and work on them together. And then service co-development as well as product co-development. So how do we, if we have these new products that we're making, for example, a wonderful compost product, well, how do we actually get that to the consumer in a way that is also minimal impact, as close to where that waste is collected as possible? So this co-development of new services is also something that was identified. And then at the back end, how do we actually create these new economies around repair and keeping things in that supply and production chain as long as possible? So I talk a bit too much, so you can wind me up as well, Cass, but maybe if we zip on to the next slide, Lydia. So this is what the community is identifying as an industry is identifying as what Townsville could do, and very, very powerful. So we actually there was a tremendous amount of data as part of that day. It was a whole day session. We actually ran it through some AI and massaged what we call a statement of intent. So this is not Smart Cities statement of intent or state government statement of intent. This is Townsville community's statement of intent around how do we transition to a future city. So I might just leave that there for you to have a read, but it's really important. So this is the thing that will guide us. This is what the city's identified that it wants, its values and the things it wants to aspire towards. Let that guide you in how you develop your ideas from here. And really important thing to keep referring back to if you need to.
Stace.
Throw over to Lydia now.
I think it's me, isn't it, Lydia? She's throwing me under the bus today.
Yes, Cassie, you want to talk about the bigger issue challenge, that'd be great.
No, you're fine. Yeah, sure. So just wanted to recap how we've actually been, really activating youth and our future leaders in our city into this space as well. So, Smart Precinct is in its has delivered its fourth Big Ideas Youth Challenge. So we bring up to 300 youth together with city leaders, entrepreneurs, other innovators, subject matter experts, research, and industry, and just community actors in general. And this year in particular, off the back of the work that we'd done that Jason just mentioned with the community, we decided to create a theme around circular futures, looping and thriving in our city of action. Jason gave some great examples on the day of they've tried to put in context for the students using biomimicry and the reef, where nothing goes to waste, so the students could actually identify. We spent a day with them going through design thinking, and then off the back of that, they had some projects that they come up with their own projects and things that they were concerned about. They came up with some solutions and then pitched it. We had a couple of winners on the day, and then we also had one team that won $10,000 to activate in the coming weeks. They've won that to activate their idea over the next 12 months. So using the same technology and AI as Jason was speaking to, we also got a youth statement of intent, which is on screen now. But what we also did was we were able to feed back to the schools around say students, these are high school students that aren't that far off leaving school, and what we're able to do is also off the back of those projects identify some potential jobs of the future, things like food system resilience planners, transportation systems engineers. There was, I think that we had top 20 in total. So we just wanted to touch on that a little bit because we're trying to ensure that we bring into the conversation First Nation. Don't forget our youth as potential key actors in the future, and also as potential partners in your activity. I think we can go on from there. Thanks, Lydia. And over to you, Lydia.
Thank you, Gaz. Well, similar to the Circular Economy Community Workshop and the Big Ideas Youth Challenge, we organized Dare to Think Circular. Was a workshop run as a hybrid model where we had 34 attendees, 18 in person and 16 online. This workshop included people from industry, research, businesses, and general community who wanted to learn more about circular economy, discuss the challenges, the regulations, the opportunities for North Queensland, but also understanding a bit more the landscape from an international and national angle. And that's why we partnered for this specific workshop with Boomerang Labs, who were able to talk more about what circular economy is and explain different examples of successful cases that have worked at a national level. And then we have Jason talking from a local perspective of those barriers that he has identified by talking to different people, but also explaining his own experience. As we mentioned before, this initiative is led by community. So the community is leading and co-designing what circular economy will mean for North Queensland. Some of the learnings of this workshop were also similar to the first one Jason was talking about, but they were specifically around opportunities and challenges for North Queensland. And then we highlighted things that we need to be able to take those opportunities beyond and be able to activate them. And those main themes that we co-designed in the workshop were collaboration, waste elimination, economic viability, understanding and having a flexible policy and regulation framework, stakeholder engagement, education and awareness, local and regional solutions, and communication and knowledge sharing. So that's why this part is so important as part of our program, sharing this with the community. And similarly, we had a statement of intent, which we hope this will guide potential projects towards reaching those outcomes. So now introducing you the opportunity of applying for this grant, which is up to $50,000 of funding for 12 months projects. But before we continue, it's important to understand the definition of circular economy that is going to be used for this specific project and that has been established by our partner from the Queensland government. So for this specific grant funding, circular economy is around products and materials that keep circulating within the economy at their highest value for as long as possible through reuse, recycling, remanufacturing, delivering products as services, and sharing. So it's important to know that this means that initiatives or proposals which aim to address water and energy issues, such as minimizing their waste or maximizing their efficient use, are not within the scope of this program. So who is this funding for? This funding really is for anyone, because if you are an innovator, an inventor, entrepreneur, change maker, whether you have an existing business or not, at the end of the day, is someone with the passion and drive and with an industry challenge or problem that you have identified and willing to partner with an industry leader or someone else in a research institution who will be able to support you with resources. And I'll tell you more about it a bit later. So as I said, it's very important that you have identified that industry waste challenge that could become a regional opportunity, because we are looking at opportunities that could be solving problems that we have in North Queensland and applying the circular economy concepts and ideas that you would like to develop, test, and validate through these collaborations. You need to be based in North Queensland and have an ABN. If you don't have an ABN and you are applying with your organization, the organization's ABN. What will be funded? We will be funding the developing of proof of concept, prototypes, or trialing activities, pre-commercialization and commercialization of projects' outputs, information sharing and communications related to the project, research piece. But this is not a complete list. Other costs could be eligible. Examples of what will not be funded: flights, accommodation, entertainment costs, costs associated with securing or managing the grant funding, such as grant writers, general business operating costs, for example, rent, rates, electricity, water, wages or salaries of existing staff, or operating costs. You can find in our website more information about what will not be funded and more information in general about this grant opportunity. So key information for you to take out of this session: applications open the 15th of November. And then there will be an application through our website. I'll show you the address a bit later. The applications close the 31st of January 2024, and we are hoping to notify the outcome in February. As I said, you can apply to grant funding up to $50,000, and you will need at least 20% of contribution in kind or cash, meaning that if you are working in the project, salaries from yourself from the time that you are spending developing that prototype, for example, or that idea, will be eligible as a co-contribution. And also your partners, they could contribute with their time or with cash. So very important. You are a person with a drive and passion. You have identified a problem or industry challenge. You have an idea for a potential solution. You have a partner, or you have identified potential partners. If you don't have a partner, feel free to come and have a chat with us, because we might be able to link you with the right contacts. And you have a 12-month plan project, or you are working towards one, where you can use this funding towards the outcome that we are looking for. So as I said, you can find all the grant guidelines now have been published in our website, spnq.org/circular economy. If you have any question, please feel free to reach out. We are here to support you and to keep building those relationships with you and to getting to know more about your project and how we can help you to be prepared for this grant funding. But I like to highlight that this is not just about the funding. This is not just about the grant of up to $50,000. It's about all the value that you will get along the way, the long-term value of being involved in this process. If you receive the funding, you will be able to work with a partner. That relationship will be long-term, will change completely the outcome of something that you've started today, but could completely be a game changer, changing for a circular economy in 2 years. We will be working with you through an incubator program. We will support you along the way, creating an advisory board where you will work with other participants who have received the funding and who are working with other partners. And we will be able to support you with funding options beyond this grant, introducing you to investors and beyond. So yes, this opportunity is not just about the funding, but everything, all the value that comes with that. And if my colleagues don't have anything to add, we can go directly to the question and answer part of the session.
Yeah, I think, Lydia, if I could just add, thank you. That's excellent. And if you don't have a partner, an immediate partner, not to worry. Like we have quite an extensive network of potential partners with us. Of course, we want you, if you can, to have that relationship already. But if you don't, we don't want you to think that that's a barrier, because exactly like Lydia mentioned, you're coming into an ecosystem of support. And if there are, the big difference between this model for me, and I've applied for a few different grant models, it's not your typical transactional grant model where you have to come up with an idea and it's either a yes or a no. This is very much a co-development model where we may be able to help you with partners. We may be able to help you refine your thinking. We might be able to shuffle what amount you go for or don't go for. So it's very much, it's a partnership, collaborative model. And I just wanted to reiterate that at this opportune time.
I have a quick question, if I may. With the applications, we do have a couple of people interested in this, in the circular economy, and for that grant as well. So with that, because it's only closing later in the year, I think it is, or beginning of next year, start of next year. Can we bring in some projects with you and discuss them with you, etc.? I think Lydia is coming out to JCU to talk to us, but on an ongoing thing before it closes, can we actually then bring forward ideas and say, does that fit with you guys? Does that is that a good project, etc.? Or what do we need to change? How do we need to sort of tinker with it to make it better fit? Maybe there's different partners there as well, which can collaborate. Etc. Is that a possible thing, Jason?
Absolutely, I would invite you to do that and welcome that, because there are layers of support and collaborative structures that are at play already. So it might be, if it doesn't fit this particular funding pool, and it might be a larger project, well, we're certainly in discussion with other private and government opportunities. So yeah, it would be great to come in and for us to learn from those that you're working with, and also to share where this might fit with our existing relationships.
Okay, perfect.
Any more questions?
And,
Do you have a question? Sorry, go ahead.
One more question I have regarding the in-kind support, because in-kind support is like salaries, etc. It needs to be 20% of the fund, but it can be all like in-kind equals cash. It doesn't need to be the 20% cash. It can be 100% in-kind, right? That's how it says in the. I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, as soon as the salaries are related to the execution of the project. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Do you have any question, Mark? No?
No, no, thank you very much. No.
Okay, great. Well, we will leave it there. As we said, if you have any question, feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to work with you to make sure there are opportunities along the way, not just for this, but for other projects. And yes, we look forward to working together and seeing what it comes out of this project and this program.
Yeah, Lydia, and if
Thank
I
you
just
very
may,
much.
we actually will post this to our website. It'll be available if you'd like to share it within your networks as well, or anyone you know that would like to participate. And of course, you know, reach out. We're really excited to be supporting you all.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
and-
organising that.
Thanks, Gus and Lydia, and definitely not wanting to be, you know, hiding the opportunity, because it is so much bigger than the funding that's here. So we want to grow the pie together in North Queensland. So bring anyone with capacity or interest or passion into the ecosystem, and we'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Great.
Wonderful.
Well, enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest of your day, and we'll be in touch.